The Galactic Empire's flagship, the Aurelius, drifted silently above the human survey vessel, HMS Discovery, in Earth's orbit. Its massive hull gleamed under the distant sun, casting a long shadow across the smaller human craft. The Aurelius was a marvel of engineering, a testament to the Empire's 5,000 years of technological advancement and military conquest. Its angular geometry, resembling a predatory creature poised to strike, was designed to instill fear and awe in those unfortunate enough to witness it up close. Admiral Salanther stood tall on the command deck, her crimson exoskeleton catching the artificial light. 4 arms crossed in front of her thorax, while her 2 primary ones gestured at the tactical display. The Admiral's compound eyes reflected the holographic image of the human vessel beneath them, a primitive craft by Imperial standards, barely worthy of notice, if not for its strategic significance as humanity's most advanced explorer. Battle line formation complete. Admiral. Her second-in-command reported, mandibles clicking with efficiency. All 127 vessels have achieved optimal intimidation positioning. Salanther nodded, satisfied. Excellent. In my 3 centuries of service to the Empire, I have overseen the capitulation of 17 species. Humans will be the 18th. She scrutinized the Discovery again. Such a small vessel, barely armed. Their surrender should be immediate and absolute. Aboard the HMS Discovery, Commander Elena Park stood calmly at the center of the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the main view screen. The Imperial flagship dominated the display, its massive form blotting out the stars behind it. Elena's heart raced, but her exterior remained composed, a trait that had earned her command of humanity's most advanced vessel and its crew of 83. "They're certainly not subtle," she murmured, more to herself than to her bridge crew. Lieutenant Marcus Wu, the ship's communications officer, snorted softly. "Subtle like a supernova. Commander, I think they're compensating for something." A few nervous chuckles rippled through the bridge crew, quickly stifled as professionalism reasserted itself. Elena permitted herself a small smile. Marcus had always been quick with a joke, even in the tensest situations, perhaps especially then. "Status report," Elena said, straightening her uniform jacket. "Hull integrity at 100%, reported the engineering officer. "Though I doubt that'll matter if they decide to sneeze in our direction. Weapon systems. Well, they exist," said the tactical officer, with gallows humor. "But against that armada, we might as well be throwing spitballs." Dr. Amina Tariq, the ship's cultural liaison and xenoanthropologist, stepped forward from her station. Her dark eyes were bright with intellectual curiosity, despite the danger. "Commander, I've been analyzing what little data we have on their communication patterns. There's a rigidity to their protocols that suggests a highly hierarchical society. They expect deference." Elena nodded. "And if we don't show it?" "Unknown," Amina replied. "But historically, societies with such rigid power structures often respond poorly to perceived disrespect." "Noted," Elena said. She inhaled deeply, squaring her shoulders. "Marcus, open a channel to the flagship. Let's see what they want." "Channel open in 3, 2. Marcus paused, his head tilting as he listened to something in his earpiece. A brief smile flickered across his face before he could suppress it. "Sorry, Commander. Just a bit of chatter on an internal frequency." Elena raised an eyebrow but didn't press the issue. "Let's focus, Lieutenant." "Yes, Commander. Channel open now." The void seemed to hold its breath. The Discovery, a testament to human ingenuity and courage, floated like a minnow before a shark. Yet within its hull, there was not the panic that Admiral Salanther expected. Instead, a strange calm prevailed, punctuated by the occasional whispered joke or stifled laugh. Above them, Salanther grew impatient. "Commence the intimidation broadcast," she ordered. "Let them hear the might of the Empire in our voice." The Imperial Communications Officer activated the transmission. A booming, artificially enhanced voice echoed through the Discovery's bridge, speaking perfect English with an otherworldly resonance. Humans of Earth, we are the Galactic Empire, rulers of 17 systems and conquerors of thousands of worlds. Your planet has been selected for immediate integration. Resistance is not only futile, but illogical. Prepare your leaders for immediate surrender. You have 5 of your Earth minutes to comply. There was a moment of silence on the Discovery's bridge. Elena glanced at Marcus, who was biting his lip, eyes dancing with barely contained mirth. She looked to Amina, who was studying her tablet with intense focus, though her shoulders were shaking slightly. "Did they just—" Elena began. "Give us the classic 'resistance is futile' speech," Marcus finished. "Yes, ma'am. Straight out of every sci-fi movie ever made." A bubble of laughter escaped from someone at the back of the bridge. Then another. Soon, a ripple of giggles spread through the crew. Despite their best efforts to maintain decorum, Elena fought to keep her expression neutral. "Marcus, open a response channel." "Channel open, Commander. They're listening." Elena cleared her throat. "This is Commander Elena Park of the HMS Discovery, representing Earth. We acknowledge your impressive entrance." She paused, choosing her next words carefully. "However, before discussions of integration begin, perhaps we might introduce ourselves properly, without the volume turned up to 11. There was a stunned silence from the Imperial ship. Then Admiral Salanther's voice, now at a normal volume, but still dripping with authority, responded. "Commander Park, I am Admiral Salanther of the Imperial flagship Aurelius. Your response is unexpected. The protocol for first contact capitulation has been established for millennia. You were supposed to tremble in fear, not critique our audio levels." Marcus snorted, then quickly disguised it as a cough. "Sorry, audio feedback," he muttered, though his grin betrayed him. Elena maintained her diplomatic tone. "Admiral Salanther, on behalf of humanity, I welcome you to our solar system. However, I should inform you that Earth has a long tradition of meeting new situations with humor. It's a defense mechanism, you might say." "Humor?" Salanther's voice carried a note of confusion. "In the face of annihilation? Explain this defense mechanism." Elena glanced at Dr. Amina Tariq, who nodded eagerly. "Admiral," Elena continued, "I believe our cultural liaison, Dr. Amina Tariq, might be better equipped to explain, with your permission." There was a pause. "Proceed," Salanther finally said, curiosity evident in her tone. Amina stepped forward. "Admiral Salanther, I am Dr. Amina Tariq, xenoanthropologist and cultural liaison for the Discovery. What you're witnessing is a uniquely human response to stress and uncertainty. Throughout our history, humans have used humor, the cultural practice of finding amusement in the unexpected or incongruous, as a means of coping with fear and building social bonds." "You laugh at threat of destruction?" Salanther's voice was incredulous. "Precisely," Amina continued, warming to her subject. "Humor serves multiple functions in human society. It reduces tension, creates social cohesion, and often helps us process situations that might otherwise overwhelm us. When you arrived with your impressive fleet and demanding surrender, you triggered what we call gallows humor, finding levity in the face of seemingly hopeless situations." Marcus leaned toward his console mic. "It's like when someone tries too hard to look scary, and it goes a bit over the top. No offense to your intimidation protocols, of course." Elena shot Marcus a warning glance, but it was too late. "Over the top?" Salanther's voice rose an octave. "Our intimidation protocols have been refined through thousands of successful conquests. They are the pinnacle of psychological warfare. And they're very impressive," Elena interjected smoothly. "It's just that humans have been imagining alien invasions in our entertainment for centuries. Your arrival feels familiar to us, like meeting a celebrity we've seen in films. Another pause. Longer this time. When Salanther spoke again, there was a dangerous edge to her voice. Commander Park, your insolence is noted. Perhaps a demonstration of imperial power will adjust your species' inappropriate response. The tactical officer's console lit up with warnings. Commander, they're powering weapon systems. Elena's heart raced, but she maintained her calm exterior. Admiral Salanther, before you fire, might I suggest an alternative approach? If you truly wish to understand Earth and its potential value to your empire, wouldn't it be more productive to learn about us first? We have studied your transmissions for decades, Salanther replied. Your planet is divided, your technology primitive. What could we possibly need to learn? You've studied our signals. But have you understood our culture? Elena pressed. Dr. Tarek has prepared a cultural primer that might help bridge the gap in our understanding. Salanther didn't respond immediately. Elena held her breath, aware that their lives hung in the balance of an alien admiral's curiosity. You have 10 of your minutes, Salanther finally said. Then we will proceed with integration protocols. Elena nodded to Amina, who stepped forward with tablet in hand. Thank you, Admiral. I've compiled a brief introduction to human humor and its significance. With your permission, I'll transmit it now. Proceed, came the curt reply. Amina nodded to Marcus, who began transmitting the prepared cultural package. It started with clips from classic comedy shows, political satires, stand-up routines, and internet memes, a crash course in human humor through the ages. Interspersed were Amina's scholarly explanations of the psychological and social functions of laughter. On the Aurelius's command deck, Admiral Salanther and her officers watched in bewildered silence. The Empire's advanced AI translators struggled to make sense of the puns, idioms, and cultural references that peppered the human transmissions. I don't understand, one of Salanther's lieutenants admitted. The humans make references to events that didn't happen, then laugh about them. And they deliberately misinterpret language for amusement, another added, mandibles clicking in confusion. Is this a form of coded communication? Salanther remained silent, her compound eyes fixed on the screen. Something strange was happening, not just to the humans, but to her own crew. Here and there, an Imperial officer would emit a strange chittering sound, quickly suppressed. It took Salanther a moment to recognize it as the Empire's equivalent of laughter, a response that was rarely heard on an Imperial warship. Admiral, her communications officer reported, the human transmission is being picked up by other ships in our fleet. We're receiving reports of unusual reactions among the crews. Explain, Salanther demanded. Officers laughing, Admiral. Some are requesting additional human humor transmissions. Salanther's mandibles clicked in irritation. This is unprecedented. Disable the broadcast immediately. I've tried, Admiral. But it seems our systems have automatically distributed it across the fleet as priority cultural intelligence. On the Discovery, Elena watched with growing hope as Amina continued her presentation. Marcus's console was lighting up with incoming transmissions. Commander, he whispered, we're getting requests from multiple Imperial vessels for more content, particularly interested in cat videos and something called fail compilations. Elena suppressed a smile. Send them everything we've got, Lieutenant. Dr. Tariq, please continue. Amina nodded, her eyes bright with excitement. Admiral Salanther, I'd now like to explain a particularly human concept, the ability to laugh at ourselves. Unlike many hierarchical species, humans find value in self-deprecation, the willingness to acknowledge and find humor in our own flaws and mistakes. She nodded to Marcus, who transmitted a compilation of world leaders being caught in embarrassing moments, followed by clips of those same leaders laughing alongside their citizens about the incidents. This is perhaps the most radical concept I'll present today, Amina continued. In human culture, the ability to laugh at oneself is not seen as weakness, but as strength. It demonstrates security, self-awareness, and the recognition that perfection is impossible. Our greatest leaders are often those who can acknowledge their mistakes with humor and grace. On the Aurelius, Salanthir shifted uncomfortably. The concept was utterly foreign to imperial culture, where acknowledging weakness was tantamount to requesting demotion or worse. "Enough," she finally said, cutting off the transmission. "Commander Park, your cultural demonstration has been educational. However, it changes nothing. The Empire does not alter its protocols based on the quirks of lesser species." Elena's heart sank, but she refused to show it. "I understand, Admiral. But before you proceed with your integration protocols, might I ask one question?"
"You may."
"In all your centuries of conquest, has any species ever responded to your arrival with laughter instead of fear?" There was a long pause. "No," Salanthir finally admitted. "This is unprecedented." "Then perhaps," Elena suggested gently, "this is an opportunity for the Empire to create a new protocol, one based on mutual understanding, rather than intimidation." "The Empire does not change," Salanthir stated flatly. "It is others who must adapt." Elena nodded, having expected this response. "I understand. Then we will adapt in our own way." She turned to Marcus. "Lieutenant Wu, initiate emergency protocol mirth." Marcus grinned. "With pleasure, Commander." Before Salanthir could respond, the Discovery began broadcasting on all frequencies. But instead of surrender terms or pleas for mercy, the transmission contained something unexpected, a global compilation of human laughter. From babies' first giggles to the full-bodied roars of the elderly, set to a defiant orchestral score that swelled and pulsed with emotion. On the Aurelius, the effect was immediate and unsettling. Imperial officers froze at their stations, transfixed by the strange sounds. Some began to emit their own chittering laughs, unable to help themselves. The sound was infectious, spreading across the command deck like a virus. Salanthir gripped her command console, fighting against the unfamiliar sensation building in her thorax. "Cease this transmission immediately. Power weapon systems." But her weapons officer was doubled over, mandibles clicking rapidly in uncontrollable alien laughter. "Cannot comply, Admiral," the officer managed between bursts. "The sound. It triggers something primitive in our neurological systems." Salanthir realized with horror that the human transmission was having a physiological effect on her species. Something about the particular frequency of human laughter was stimulating the ancient pleasure centers of the imperial brain, centers that had been suppressed by millennia of rigid hierarchical conditioning. "Shields up! Cut all communications!" she ordered, but it was too late. The laughter had spread throughout the fleet, cascading from ship to ship. On the Discovery, Elena watched in amazement as the Imperial weapon systems powered down one by one. "It's working," she breathed. Marcus nodded, grinning widely. "Turns out their translator systems are linked directly to their central nervous systems. They're not just hearing our laughter, they're feeling it." Dr. Tariq's theory was right. Amina stepped forward, her expression a mix of excitement and concern. "Commander, we should be careful. This response suggests their species has neurological similarities to humans that we didn't anticipate. They might be experiencing something akin to a mass euphoria event." Elena considered this. "Is it harming them?" "No," Amina replied. "If anything, it might be liberating. Their society appears to suppress emotional expression. This could be breaking through centuries of conditioning." Elena nodded decisively. "Continue the broadcast, but prepare a more moderate version. We don't want to incapacitate them completely. Our goal is communication, not conquest." Marcus adjusted the transmission, gradually shifting to more gentle forms of laughter and humor. On the main screen, they could see activity returning to normal on the Imperial flagship, though with a distinctly more relaxed atmosphere. Finally, Admiral Salanther's voice came through, noticeably less rigid than before. "Commander Park, your protocol was unexpected." "As was your arrival, Admiral," Elena replied evenly. "Perhaps we've both learned something about each other today." There was a pause. Then, "Perhaps, though the Empire has existed for 5,000 years without the need for laughter." "With respect, Admiral, that sounds like a very long time to go without joy." Another pause. Longer this time. When Salanther spoke again, her voice had lost some of its artificial resonance, sounding more natural, almost vulnerable. "Commander Park, I find myself in an unprecedented situation. The standard protocols for planetary integration do not account for this." Elena took a deep breath, sensing an opportunity. "Admiral Salanther, I propose an alternative. Instead of integration through conquest, what about alliance through understanding? Earth has much to offer the Empire beyond mere submission. Such as creativity, innovation, and yes, humor. From what Dr. Tariq has observed, your society values order and efficiency. Ours values those too, but we balance them with creative thinking and emotional expression. Together, we might achieve things neither of our civilizations could alone." The silence stretched so long that Elena wondered if the connection had been lost. "Finally," Salanther responded, "the Empire does not form alliances. It conquers." "Then, perhaps," Elena suggested, "this is an opportunity for the Empire to evolve. After 5,000 years, even the most successful strategies might benefit from review." More silence. Then, surprisingly, a sound that the Discovery's crew had not heard before. A soft, chittering laugh from Admiral Salanther herself. "Commander Park, you are either the bravest or the most foolish being I have encountered in 3 centuries of service." Elena smiled. "Possibly both, Admiral. It's a human trait to be contradictory." "So I am learning." Salanther seemed to be considering something. "I propose a temporary cessation of integration protocols. The Aurelius will dock with the Discovery for cultural exchange." Elena's heart leapt, but she kept her voice steady. "We would be honored, Admiral. Though I should warn you, our docking facilities weren't designed with a vessel of your size in mind." "We have means," Salanther replied, and Elena could have sworn there was a hint of amusement in the Admiral's voice. "Prepare your ship for visitors. I will bring a delegation of 10 officers. We will share information and perhaps some of this humor. We look forward to it, Admiral." Discovery out. Elena turned to her crew, allowing her professional mask to slip as a broad smile spread across her face. "Well done, everyone, especially you. Dr. Tariq, your cultural insights may have just saved Earth." Amina beamed. "It wasn't just me, Commander. It was all of us. Humanity's collective resilience and sense of humor in the face of the unknown." Speaking of humor," Marcus interjected. "What do we serve at the first interstellar diplomatic dinner? I don't think the cafeteria prepared for alien visitors today." Elena laughed, feeling the tension of the last hours finally release. "Let's find out what they eat. Lieutenant, Dr. Tariq, prepare a cultural exchange program. Something gentle. We don't want to overwhelm them with 5,000 years of human history in one sitting." "Yes, Commander," Amina replied, already tapping at her tablet. "I suggest we focus on art, music, and communal dining practices. Food sharing is nearly universal as a bonding ritual across species." "Make it so," Elena said, then paused, smiling at the classic science fiction reference. "And everyone? Whatever happens next, Remember that we've already accomplished something remarkable today. We faced an alien armada, and instead of firing weapons, we made them laugh. Several hours later, the Aurelius had positioned itself alongside the Discovery, rather than attempting to dock the massive Imperial flagship with the much smaller human vessel. Salanthir had deployed what she called a connection sphere, a perfectly round, transparent bubble that attached itself to the Discovery's main airlock, creating a neutral space for the two species to meet. Inside this sphere, Elena and her senior staff waited nervously. They had arranged a simple but elegant reception area, with tables of Earth foods and drinks, displays of human art, and subtle background music. Dr. Amina Tarek had advised against overwhelming the Imperial delegation with too many stimuli at once. "Remember," she told the assembled crew, "their society appears highly structured and formal. They may find our casual interactions jarring. Follow Commander Park's lead and be respectful, but authentic." Elena nodded agreement. "We want to show them humanity at its best, curious, compassionate, and yes, humorous, but never disrespectful." The airlock hissed open, and Admiral Salanthir entered, followed by 9 Imperial officers of varying ranks, identifiable by the different patterns on their exoskeletons. Up close, Salanthir was even more imposing, nearly 7 feet tall, with an iridescent crimson exoskeleton that caught the light as she moved. Her 4 secondary arms were folded formally across her thorax, while her 2 primary arms hung at her sides, conspicuously near what Elena assumed were weapons. "Commander Park," Salanthir said, her voice resonating in the confined space, "I present the Imperial Scientific and Cultural Assessment Team." Elena stepped forward, offering a formal bow rather than a handshake, unsure if physical contact would be welcome. "Admiral Salanthir, welcome aboard the Discovery. May I present my senior staff, Lieutenant Marcus Wu, Communications, Dr. Amina Tariq, Cultural Liaison, and Chief Engineer Sanjay Patel." Salanthir inclined her head slightly. "Your vessel is smaller than I anticipated, yet efficiently designed." "Thank you, Admiral," Elena replied, recognizing the statement as a compliment. "We've prepared some refreshments and information about Earth. We hope to learn about the Empire as well." "A mutual exchange," Salanthir mused. "Unusual, but acceptable for preliminary assessment." Elena gestured toward the reception area. "Please, make yourselves comfortable." The Imperial officers moved with precise, almost mechanical coordination, taking positions around the room that Elena suspected were determined by rank and function. Salanthir remained at the center, her compound eyes taking in everything. Dr. Tariq approached, tablet in hand. "Admiral, with your permission, I've prepared a brief overview of Earth's major cultural regions and historical developments. I'd be honored to answer any questions you might have." Salanthir's mandibles moved in what might have been the Imperial equivalent of a nod. "Proceed, Dr. Tariq." As Amina began her presentation, Elena noticed Marcus chatting with one of the junior Imperial officers. The alien seemed confused, but intrigued by Marcus's animated gestures. Slowly, the atmosphere in the room began to relax, the rigid formality giving way to genuine curiosity on both sides. "Your species has achieved impressive cultural diversity despite its short evolutionary history," Salanthir observed after Amina's presentation. "The Empire categorizes civilizations by their uniformity. Yours would be classified as chaotically differentiated, usually a sign of weakness. Yet you've unified your planet sufficiently for space exploration. We see our diversity as strength, Admiral," Elena explained. "Different perspectives lead to innovation. We don't always agree. In fact, we rarely do. But we've learned that our best solutions come from the clash and compromise of varied viewpoints." Salanthir's head tilted slightly. "Inefficient, yet intriguing. The Empire has achieved perfect unity through hierarchical structure. All serve their function without question. "And does that make you happy?" Marcus asked suddenly. The room fell silent. Elena tensed, concerned that Marcus had overstepped, but curious about the answer. Salanther's compound eyes fixed on Marcus. "Happiness is irrelevant to function, Lieutenant Wu. The Empire values efficiency, not emotional satisfaction." "But what about you personally, Admiral?" Marcus pressed gently. "In 3 centuries of service, have you found satisfaction in your role?" Salanther seemed taken aback by the question. Her mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation. Elena guessed. "I function as required. My personal experience is irrelevant to my duty." "With respect, Admiral," Elena interjected. "On Earth, we've found that duty and personal fulfillment aren't mutually exclusive. The most effective leaders are often those who find meaning and joy in their work." "Joy." Salanther repeated the word as if testing an unfamiliar food. "The Empire does not prioritize such concepts." "Perhaps that's something we could teach each other," Amina suggested. "We could learn from your efficiency and structure, while sharing our understanding of emotional well-being and creative problem-solving." One of the Imperial officers stepped forward, a smaller individual with pale blue markings. "Admiral, these concepts align with philosopher Zartax's forbidden treatise on emotional efficiency. Perhaps there is scientific value in exploring them." Salanther's head snapped toward the officer. "Scientist Vreelik, Zartax's writings were deemed disruptive to Imperial unity 3 millennia ago." "Yes, Admiral," Vreelik acknowledged, ducking her head submissively. "I merely suggest that in the context of alien cultural assessment, such exploration might be permissible." Elena sensed an opportunity. "Admiral, what if we treated this as a scientific and cultural exchange? No formal alliances or integration, just 2 civilizations learning from each other. A first in Imperial history, perhaps?" Salanther was silent for a long moment, her alien features unreadable to human eyes. Finally, she spoke. "The Empire has conquered 17 systems through force. It has never exchanged. Yet the Emperor's directive is to strengthen the Empire by all means. If human concepts could be studied and selectively adapted." "A pilot program," Elena suggested. "We establish regular communications, exchange knowledge and cultural artifacts. If, after a standard time period, say 1 Earth year, neither side sees value in continuing, we reassess." Another long silence. Then, surprisingly, Salanther's mandibles parted in what almost resembled a smile. "Commander Park, your proposal is unprecedented. Yet so was your response to our arrival. Perhaps unprecedented approaches deserve unprecedented consideration." Elena felt a surge of hope. "Is that a yes, Admiral?" "It is a provisional acceptance, subject to Imperial High Command approval," Salanther clarified. "I will advocate for this experiment." A cheer went up from the human crew before they could stop themselves. Several Imperial officers chittered in surprise at the outburst. Salanther's mandibles clicked rapidly. "Such emotional displays would be inappropriate for Imperial officers." "But we're not Imperial officers," Marcus pointed out with a grin. "We're humans. Emotional displays are kind of our thing." To everyone's surprise, Scientist Vreelik emitted a soft chittering sound, definitely laughter. "They are remarkably uninhibited. Admiral, it's refreshing." Salanther shot Vreelik a warning glance, but Elena noticed that the Admiral's posture had relaxed slightly. "Your refreshments," Salanther said, changing the subject. "Are they compatible with Imperial biology?" "We've analyzed your biochemistry from our scans," Amina explained. "These foods," she gestured to a separate table, "should be safe and nutritionally appropriate for your species, though we can't guarantee they'll taste good to you." "A thoughtful precaution," Salanther acknowledged, approaching the indicated table. She selected what appeared to be a piece of fruit, examining it carefully before placing it in her mandibles. Her compound eyes widened slightly. "This is acceptable. What do you call it?" "An apple," Elena replied. "One of Earth's oldest cultivated fruits." "Apple," Salantha repeated. "Simple, yet complex in flavor. An apt metaphor for your species, perhaps?" Elena smiled. "I'll take that as a compliment, Admiral." As the reception continued, the initial tension gradually dissolved. Imperial officers cautiously sampled Earth cuisine, while humans listened to descriptions of Imperial worlds. Marcus taught some of the younger officers a simple card game, which they approached with the seriousness of military strategy before gradually catching on to its recreational purpose. Dr. Amina Tariq engaged scientist Vreelik in a detailed discussion of comparative xenobiology, their shared scientific curiosity transcending cultural differences. Even Chief Engineer Patel found common ground with the Imperial technical officers, sketching propulsion system diagrams on napkins and debating the relative merits of different faster-than-light travel theories. Elena observed it all with growing optimism, occasionally catching Salanthir's eye across the room. The Admiral remained more reserved than her officers, maintaining a dignified distance, but Elena could sense her watching the interactions with thoughtful attention. "Your crew adapts quickly to novel situations," Salanthir observed when Elena approached. "A useful trait." "Necessity has made us flexible," Elena replied. "Our history is full of unexpected challenges, as is the Empire's, though we respond differently." Salanthir seemed to hesitate, then added, "Your method of response to our arrival, this humor, it suggests a resilience we had not anticipated in a pre-imperial species." "Humor has gotten humanity through our darkest times," Elena explained. "When faced with overwhelming force or seemingly hopeless situations, laughter reminds us of our shared humanity and gives us courage to continue." "Courage," Salantha repeated. "The Empire values courage, though we express it differently. Perhaps there is more common ground between us than initially appeared." Before Elena could respond, a commotion broke out across the room. Marcus had apparently told a joke that one of the Imperial officers found particularly hilarious. The alien was emitting rapid-fire chittering sounds, its exoskeleton vibrating with mirth. Other Imperial officers were staring in shock, while the humans grinned. "What is happening?" Shalanthir demanded, moving swiftly toward the disturbance. "I just told them about the time we accidentally sent a cat video instead of official diplomatic credentials to the European Union," Marcus explained, looking both proud and slightly worried. "It seems Officer Krelth has an advanced sense of humor." The officer in question, Krelth, was struggling to regain composure. "My apologies, Admiral." They managed between bursts of chittering. "The concept of diplomatic errors involving domesticated predators is unexpectedly amusing." Salanthir's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sound Elena was beginning to associate with disapproval. "Officer Krelth, remember your Imperial training. Emotional regulation is expected of all officers." "Yes, Admiral," Krelth responded, straightening. "It will not happen again." Elena stepped forward. "If I may, Admiral." Officer Krelth's response suggests that our species share some fundamental neurological pathways. The ability to find humor in the unexpected might be more universal than either of us realized. "A scientific observation," Amina added quickly, "potentially valuable for future communications protocols." Salanthir seemed to consider this. "You suggest Officer Krelth's lapse might have research value?" "Exactly," Elena confirmed. "Understanding the commonalities between our species could help prevent misunderstandings." Slowly, Salanthir's posture relaxed again. "A reasonable approach. Officer Krelth, you will report to Scientist Vreelik for a full neurological analysis of your response to human humor." "Yes, Admiral," Krelth replied, sounding relieved rather than punished. As the reception continued, Elena noticed more moments of genuine connection forming between the two species. When it was finally time for the Imperial delegation to return to the Aurelius, the atmosphere had transformed completely from the tense standoff of hours before. "Commander Park," Salanther said formally as they stood at the airlock. "This exchange has been educational. I will transmit my report to Imperial High Command with a recommendation for continued cultural assessment." "Thank you, Admiral," Elena replied. "We look forward to learning more about the Empire and sharing more of Earth with you." Salanther hesitated, then extended one of her primary arms in what appeared to be an imperial gesture of respect. "Your species' approach to adversity is unconventional but effective. In another context, you might have made worthy adversaries. As potential allies, the possibilities are intriguing." Elena smiled, cautiously mirroring the gesture. "High praise indeed, Admiral. Until our next meeting." As the Imperial delegation departed, Elena turned to her crew. "Well done, everyone. I think we've just made first contact history." Marcus grinned. "First species to laugh an alien armada into submission. That should make the textbooks interesting." "Don't get ahead of yourself, Lieutenant," Elena cautioned. "This is just the beginning. We have a lot of work ahead to build a lasting relationship with the Empire." "But it is a beginning," Amina pointed out, "and a promising one." The Admiral seemed genuinely interested in continued exchange. "Agreed," Elena said. "Let's prepare a comprehensive report for Earth Central Command. They'll need to know everything that happened here today." 3 months later, the relationship between Earth and the Galactic Empire had evolved in ways no one could have predicted. The initial cultural exchange had expanded into a robust diplomatic relationship, with Imperial representatives stationed permanently on Earth and human diplomats aboard the Aurelius. The Imperial High Command had officially designated Earth a special assessment zone, neither conquered nor fully independent, but a unique case study in alternative integration methodologies. It was an unprecedented status that both sides found acceptable as they navigated their new relationship. Commander Elena Park had been promoted to Admiral and appointed Earth's primary liaison to the Empire. She now stood in what had once been the Aurelius's intimidation chamber, a vast, dark room designed to strike fear into the hearts of conquered species, but which had been repurposed as a galactic cultural exchange hall. The walls, once adorned with trophies from conquered worlds, now displayed art from both Earth and Imperial planets. Admiral Salanther approached, her steps lighter than they had been during their first encounter. "Admiral Park," she greeted, using Elena's new title. "The joint declaration is ready for our approval." Elena nodded, taking the offered data tablet. On it was the text of an unprecedented document. The Galactic Council of Understanding, Principles of Peaceful Exchange between Earth and the Empire. "It's hard to believe we've come this far in just 3 months, Elena remarked, scrolling through the document. "Indeed," Salanther agreed. "The Emperor was skeptical initially, but the data has been compelling. Human innovative approaches have already improved Imperial efficiency in 17 key areas. And Imperial structural systems have helped Earth resolve 3 major international conflicts." Elena added, "It seems we complement each other well." "A surprising but empirically valid conclusion," Salanther said, in what Elena had come to recognize as the Admiral's version of enthusiastic agreement. They were interrupted by the arrival of Lieutenant Marcus Wu, now Ambassador Wu, and scientist Vreelik, who had been appointed the Empire's cultural attaché to Earth. The two had developed an unlikely friendship, bonded by their shared interest in comparative humor studies. "Admiral Park, Admiral Salanther," Marcus greeted them with a grin. "You won't believe what just happened in the mess hall. We introduced Imperial officers to Earth stand-up comedy, and 3 of them laughed so hard their exoskeletons changed color. A fascinating physiological response, Vreelik added excitedly. We believe it's related to the temporary relaxation of their chromatic control mechanisms under extreme pleasure stimulus. Salanther's mandibles clicked in what Elena now recognized as mild embarrassment. Vreelik, such physiological discussions are traditionally private, but scientifically valuable, Vreelik countered. The Emperor himself has expressed interest in these findings. The potential applications for stress management among Imperial forces are significant. Elena smiled, noting how much had changed. 3 months ago, Vreelik would never have contradicted Salanther, even gently. Now, the scientist spoke with confidence, secure in the knowledge that her expertise was valued. The Emperor has been surprisingly receptive to our reports, Salanther acknowledged, particularly to Dr. Tarek's analysis of how Earth's cultural diversity drives innovation. Amina will be pleased to hear that, Elena said. She's currently on Earth, presenting her findings to the United Nations. As they spoke, a small, furry creature darted past their feet, followed by a young Imperial officer who moved with surprising speed for their species. Ambassador Wu, your Earth creature has escaped again, the officer called, sounding more amused than annoyed. Marcus laughed. Sorry, Officer Trellix. Whiskers is curious about everything. Elena raised an eyebrow. You brought your cat to the Aurelius? Cultural exchange, Marcus said with a wink. Turns out Imperials have never had pets. Whiskers is teaching them about interspecies companionship. Salanther watched the young officer gently coax the cat from beneath the console. Most irregular, she commented. Yet, Officer Trellix's productivity has increased 17% since beginning this pet therapy experiment. Sometimes irregular is exactly what we need, Elena suggested. Speaking of which, shall we sign this most irregular document and make history? Salanther's mandibles parted in what Elena now recognized as a smile. Let us proceed, Admiral Park. Together, they activated their digital signatures on the Declaration, officially establishing the Galactic Council of Understanding, the first cooperative body between the Empire and a non-conquered species. As the document was transmitted simultaneously to Earth's capitals and the Imperial homeworld, a cheer went up from the assembled humans, and a wave of satisfied chittering spread among the Imperial officers. I believe this calls for a celebration, Marcus announced. On Earth, we traditionally mark historic moments with a toast. At his signal, staff began distributing glasses, containing a specially formulated drink, safe for both human and Imperial consumption, a collaborative creation of Earth and Imperial food scientists. Elena raised her glass. To understanding across the stars. And to laughter, Salanther added, surprising everyone. Which, I have learned, is not a sign of weakness, but of profound strength. As glasses clinked and mandibles clicked in approval. Elena reflected on how far they had come, from the brink of conquest to the dawn of cooperation, all because humans had responded to intimidation not with fear, but with humor. In the months that followed, the Galactic Council of Understanding flourished. Joint research initiatives yielded breakthroughs in medicine, technology, and environmental science that benefited both civilizations. Cultural exchange programs brought Imperial art forms to Earth and human music, literature, and comedy to Imperial worlds. 1 year after the Aurelius had first appeared in Earth's orbit, Admiral Elena Park stood on the observation deck of the new Joint Space Station Harmony, looking out at the assembled fleet, Imperial and human vessels, flying side by side under the banner of cooperation. Beside her stood Admiral Salanther, no longer an intimidating alien conqueror, but a respected colleague, and, Elena was surprised to realize, a friend. The Emperor has officially recognized Earth as a sovereign partner of the Empire, Salanther announced, the first such designation in Imperial history, and the United Nations has ratified the Mutual Defense and Cultural Exchange Treaty. Elena replied, Earth and the Empire are now officially allies. Salanther's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. When I was dispatched to integrate Earth into the Empire, I expected a routine conquest. Instead, I found laughter. "And what do you think of laughter now, Admiral?" Elena asked. Salanther was silent for a moment, compound eyes reflecting the stars. "I think, Admiral Park, that in 5,000 years of conquest, the Empire never truly evolved until we met a species that responded to our power not with fear, but with humor. Your laughter taught us something we had forgotten, that there is strength in joy." Elena smiled. "And your structure has taught us that there can be freedom in order. It seems we needed each other." As they stood together, watching the combined fleet, a small commotion broke out behind them. They turned to see Whiskers, Marcus's cat, now the unofficial mascot of human imperial relations, chasing a small imperial drone that had gotten loose from the engineering bay. The sight of the tiny Earth predator pursuing advanced imperial technology proved too much for the assembled dignitaries. Laughter erupted, human chuckles, and imperial chittering blending into a harmonious sound that symbolized their unprecedented alliance. "Perhaps," Calanthe observed, her own mandibles quivering with suppressed mirth. "This is the true universal language, not mathematics or physics, but the shared ability to find joy in the unexpected." "I couldn't have said it better myself, Admiral," Elena agreed, as Whiskers finally pounced on the drone, setting off another wave of interspecies laughter. As the celebration continued around them, Elena reflected that in the vast, often frightening expanse of space, humanity had discovered its greatest strength wasn't in weapons or technology, but in the simple, profound power of laughter, a force that had turned potential conquerors into allies and opened a new chapter in galactic history. And somewhere in the vastness of space, the sound of human and imperial laughter echoed among the stars, a promise of understanding that transcended the boundaries of biology, culture, and the vast distances between worlds.